Biotechnology is the manipulation of living organisms and organic material to serve human needs. For example, use of yeast in bread making and alcohol production, use of beneficial bacteria such as penicillin to kill harmful organisms, cloning of plants and animals, or artificial insemination. Artificial insemination is the introduction of sperm into female cervix for the purpose of achieving a pregnancy through a in vivo fertilization. Biotechnology industry. Research is conducted by small companies, large corporations, and public universities. These are some of the examples of biotechnology industry. These are some of the pharmaceutical companies. Areas of biotechnology. So biotechnology focus on variety of research areas including health and medicine, food science, environmental science, and agri-science. Pioneers in biotechnology. In year 1675, he discovers bacteria through the use of simple microscope. Later on, Gregor J. Mendel in year 1863, Austrian monk who conducted the first genetic experiment using pea plants in mid-18th, often considered the founder of genetics. Louis Pasteur was the first person in 1870 who disproved the notion of spontaneous generation, describing the role of bacteria in spoilage and the scientific basis for fermentation. He was the first person to create the vaccine. Robert Hooke in 1665 he invented the compound light microscope, and through the use of compound light microscope he was the first person to observe cells in cork. James Watson and Francis Crick in 1953 they are responsible for the discovery of double helix structure of DNA using X-ray photographs. Paul Berg in 1972 he was a scientist at Stanford University. He developed the recombinant DNA technology. Recombinant DNA technology method is used for insertion of genetic material from one organism into another. Origin of biotechnology emerged in methods of food production and plant and animal breeding. Use of bacteria to produce cheese, food preservation, use of natural enzymes in yogurt, use of yeast to produce bread, use of fermentation for producing wine and beer. So biotechnology emerges from series of inventions throughout the time. 1940s to 1950s, widespread work is undertaken to investigate the structure and function of DNA. And in 1980, US Supreme Court approves the patenting of genetically altered organisms, also known as GMOs, genetically modified organism. In 1990s, first transgenic organism, genetically modified organism are introduced in widespread agriculture production, particularly in the area of crops. Wheat corn and soya bean were the first GMOs that were introduced and they offered natural insect resistance as their genes were modified through the introduction of gene from bacteria. In 1997, Dolly is the first animal cloned from diploid cells is produced in Scotland. Late 1990s and early 2000s, human cloning is outlawed in the US. The first concern over the use of human stem cells in research began to arise. In animal science, selective breeding can be improved by using the methods such as in vitro fertilization or artificial insemination. In environmental science, biotechnology can be helpful in cleaning contaminants, protecting endangered species, cleaning contaminants using natural organisms such as bacteria. This method is known as bioremediation. In health and agri-medicine, farming is used for the creation of plants and animals capable of producing medical substances, and the use of biological barriers to prevent the spread of harmful microorganisms that could contaminate food sources. DNA analysis or paternity testing has emerged as a technique to test the genetic ancestry of animals. Some problems with biotechnology. Transfer of genes found in transgenic organisms to natural population. Terminated genes have been used to minimize the risk. Unexpected impacts of genetically modified unexpected impacts of genetically modified organisms and biotechnology processes on other organisms and the environment. The expense of the utilization of many biotechnological techniques. Cost of producing transgenic animals. There are transgenic fish but no livestock yet. Concerns over the safety and ethics of incorporating genetically modified organisms into food for human consumption. Biotechnology terms. These are some of the basic biotechnology terminology.